I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. Oh shit, you guys are not going to believe what just happened. I actually genuinely, for real, got my hands on some SpaceX IPO shares. Like, me. A guy not too long ago was literally living paycheck to paycheck, racking up credit card debt like it was a sport. And now I am talking about owning a piece of friggin' SpaceX. It feels wild, absolutely wild. But let S be real for a second, because the initial high, the absolute euphoria of getting those shares, quickly wore off and was replaced by a massive wave of what the hell did I just do? This isn't like buying a pack of gum, this is a real investment with real money and potentially real consequences, and that's what I want to talk about today. Because while it sounds incredibly sexy and cool to say you own SpaceX shares, there's a whole lot of nuance and a whole lot of risk that comes with it. And I want to share my honest thoughts, my honest feelings, and my honest research with you guys, so you can decide if something like this, an early stage investment in a highly speculative company, is right for you. Or more importantly, if it's something you should be avoiding like the plague. So let's rewind a bit to how this whole thing even happened. For those of you who don't know, an IPO, or initial public offering, is when a company first sells shares of stock to the public. It is a big deal. For SpaceX, it is not a traditional IPO in the sense that it is going public on a major exchange just yet. This was more of a secondary offering, where existing shareholders or employees were selling some of their shares, and getting access to something like this, especially for a company as hyped as SpaceX, is usually pretty tough for the average person. You often need to be an accredited investor, which basically means you are rich or have a significant net worth. And obviously I am not that yet, but through some connections, some very lucky connections, I got an opportunity to participate in a smaller private placement. It wasn't a huge amount of money, but it was enough to make me feel like I was really truly playing with the big boys. And man, the temptation was just too strong to resist. I mean, come on. SpaceX, the company that is sending rockets to space, colonizing Mars, bringing broadband internet to the world. It's the stuff of science fiction, but it is happening right now, and I got to be a part of it. That's what I told myself anyway, when I clicked that buy button. But then, as I said, the immediate excitement turned into a bit of a cold sweat, because my financial journey, as many of you know, has been a long and winding road. I started out, just like a lot of you probably are right now, completely clueless about money. I was a total spendthrift, living for the moment and accumulating debt without a second thought. I was in my early 20s, working a decent job, but every single paycheck seemed to evaporate faster than I could even process it. I remember the day I realized I had more in credit card debt than I had in my entire savings account. That was a gut punch, a real oh shit moment. And that was my turning point. I realized I couldn't keep living like that. I had to get my financial house in order. So I started reading, watching videos, learning everything I could about personal finance. I cut down on unnecessary spending, paid off my credit cards, built up an emergency fund, and started investing in low-cost index funds. Nothing glamorous, nothing flashy, just slow, steady, consistent progress. And that has been my mantra ever since slow and steady wins the race. So, buying into a highly speculative, private company like SpaceX, even with its incredible potential, felt like a huge deviation from everything I've learned and preached. It felt like I was going back to my old habits of chasing the next shiny object instead of sticking to my sensible, long-term strategy. And that is where the internal conflict started. On one hand, the potential upside of SpaceX is immense. We're talking about a company that could genuinely change the course of human civilization. If they succeed in even a fraction of their ambitions, the value of those shares could skyrocket. We're talking about potentially life-changing wealth. And who wouldn't want a piece of that, right? On the other hand, the risks are equally immense. This is not a mature, publicly traded company with a long history of predictable earnings. This is a high-growth, high-risk venture. There is no guarantee of success. Space travel is incredibly difficult, incredibly expensive, and fraught with challenges. One failed launch, one major technical setback, one shift in government policy, and the value of those shares could plummet. And because it is a private company, it is not like I can just go and sell my shares on the open market if I get cold feet. Liquidity is a huge issue. I am essentially locked in for an unknown period of time. So what did I do after a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of conversations with myself, and a lot of revisiting my core financial principles? I decided to hold on to the shares. And this is a huge but, I did it with a very specific mindset and a very specific plan. First, I treated this investment as pure speculation. This is not my retirement fund. This is not my emergency savings. This is money that I can, theoretically, afford to lose entirely without it impacting my overall financial stability. It's a very small percentage of my total investment portfolio. If it goes to zero, it will suck, but it won't derail my financial future. And that is a crucial point if you ever considering investing in something highly speculative, whether it's a hot new IPO, a cryptocurrency, or even just a single stock that everyone is raving about. You have to ask yourself, can I genuinely afford to lose every single penny I put into this without it causing me significant financial hardship? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't be investing in it. Period. End of story. My second point is about research and understanding. Even though it is speculative, I didn't just throw money at it blindly. I spent time understanding SpaceX's business model, their competitors, their long-term vision, and the potential challenges they face. I looked at their financial statements to the extent that they are publicly available and tried to get a sense of their valuation. Is it perfectly accurate? Is it fully comprehensive number? But it is better than nothing. It is about being informed even in the face of uncertainty. And my third point, and perhaps the most important for me, is about my overall financial strategy. This SpaceX investment is an outlier. It is a small, calculated gamble within a much larger, much more conservative portfolio. My core investments are still in diversified index funds, real estate, and other low-risk long-term assets. These are the foundations of my financial security. This SpaceX play is just a small, exciting, potentially high-reward addition to the periphery. It is like having a healthy diet of fruits, vegetables, and lean proteins, and then occasionally having a really good, indulgent dessert. The dessert is fun, but it is not the main meal. So what's the takeaway here for you guys, especially if you're in your 20s and trying to get your finances together? My personal journey has taught me a lot about patience, discipline, and avoiding the temptation of get-rich-quick schemes. And while this SpaceX investment might seem like it contradicts that, I view it as a controlled experiment. It is a way to participate in something incredibly exciting, while still adhering to my core principles of responsible money management. My advice to you, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation with an opportunity to invest in something incredibly hyped and potentially life-changing, is this. First, nail down your fundamentals, get out of debt, build an emergency fund, start investing consistently in diversified low-cost funds. Those are your non-negotiables. Those are the boring, but essential steps to financial freedom. Second, if you do decide to dabble in speculative investments, treat them as exactly that, speculation. Only use money you can afford to lose. Keep it a very small percentage of your overall portfolio. Don't let the hype or the fear of missing out, the FOMO, dictate your entire financial strategy. And third, understand that there are no guarantees in investing, especially in early-stage companies. Even the most brilliant minds, the most innovative companies, can face unforeseen challenges, so temper your expectations and always be prepared for the possibility that things might not go as planned. I am going to keep you guys updated on my SpaceX journey. I'll share the highs, the lows, and everything in between, because that is what this channel is all about. Real talk, real experiences, and helping each other navigate this crazy world of money and life. So for now, I am holding on to my little piece of the future. Will it make me rich? Maybe. Will it go to zero? Possibly. But either way, it is a hell of a story and a valuable lesson in financial prudence, even when chasing dreams. Peace out. Guys, thinking about this whole SpaceX thing, it really brings into focus how much my perspective on money has shifted over the years. When I was younger, it was all about instant gratification, new phone, new clothes, eating out every single night. If I wanted it, I bought it, usually with money I didn't really have. I genuinely believed that happiness came from having more stuff. And it was a pretty miserable existence, to be honest. Always stressed about bills, always feeling like I was falling behind, always trying to keep up with what everyone else seemed to have. And the thing is, you see all these people on social media flashing their luxury cars and exotic vacations, and it creates this intense pressure to consume. It's a vicious cycle, and it took a good long while. And a whole lot of hitting rock bottom to realize that none of that actually made me happy. In fact, it was doing the exact opposite. It was making me anxious and trapped and just generally unwell. So when I got this opportunity with SpaceX, a part of me, that old Reed, immediately thought, this is it. This is my ticket. This is how I finally get rich and buy all the things. But the new Reed, the one who's actually built some financial discipline and understands the value of a dollar, he kicked in pretty quickly. He started asking the tough questions. Is this a smart move for my overall financial health? Is this aligned with my long-term goals? Am I making an emotional decision or a rational one? And honestly, it was a battle. The allure of a quick buck, the fantasy of being a millionaire overnight, that powerful stuff. It's what drives a lot of the hype around things like meme stocks and crypto pumps. And it's incredibly tempting to fall into that trap, especially when you see other people seemingly making fortunes. But I've learned the hard way that true wealth building is rarely about those flashy overnight wins. It's about consistency, patience, and making smart, calculated decisions over a long period of time. It's about understanding compound interest and letting your money work for you rather than constantly chasing the next big thing. So even though I went ahead with the SpaceX investment, it was with a very different mindset than the old me would have approached it. It was about getting rich quick. It was about taking a calculated risk with a small portion of my portfolio in a company I genuinely believe has the potential to innovate and grow. And even then, I am fully aware that it might not pan out. And I am okay with that because I haven't bet the farm on it. My emergency fund is still intact, my diversified index funds are still growing steadily, my financial safety net is still firmly in place. That's the real victory here. For me, not the potential gains from SpaceX, But the fact that IV built a financial foundation strong enough to even consider an investment like this without it jeopardizing my future. And that's what I really want to convey to you guys. Don't get caught up in the hype. Don't let the fear of missing out force you into making rash decisions with your money. Focus on the boring stuff first. Pay down your debt, build up your savings, invest in broad market index funds. Those are the things that will truly set you up for long-term financial success. And once you have that foundation, then and only then, if you have some extra money that you read genuinely comfortable losing, you can consider dabbling in something a bit more adventurous. But always go into it with your eyes wide open, understanding the risks involved. Don't let anyone tell you that investing is easy or that there's a shortcut to wealth. It's not. It takes work, it takes discipline, and it takes a willingness to learn and adapt. And sometimes it takes making a few mistakes along the way. As long as you learn from them, I am still learning every single day. And sharing these experiences, even the slightly terrifying ones like buying into a highly speculative private company, is my way of hopefully helping some of you avoid some of the pitfalls I've encountered. Because at the end of the day, we all just trying to navigate this financial landscape, and if my screw-ups or even my occasional wins can help you make smarter choices, then that's a win in my book. So yeah, SpaceX, it's an interesting ride, that S for sure, and I'm excited to see where it goes, but I am also grounded in the reality that my financial security doesn't hinge on this one investment. It hinges on the habits IV built, the discipline IV cultivated, and the long-term strategy IV committed to. And I hope you guys are doing the same. Focus on what you can control. Focus on building that strong foundation. And then if you get an opportunity like this, you can approach it from a position of strength rather than desperation. That's when the real magic happens. Peace.